В предишния епизод на Камифуда случайно се натъкнах на Люн, пренасящ дозини книги, посветени на психология. Изглежда, че загубата на Трент се отразява и на него. Въпреки това, успя да ми сподели малко повече за своите бъдещи планове. Впоследствие се сблъсках и с Зенфрея. Срещата ми с нея далеч не беше толкова приятна. Тя продължаваше да се държи зле с мен, все едно аз бях виновен за неразбориите и с професор Ихарам. Нищо де. В крайна сметка, след началния неуспех, успях да я натупам на Камифуда. Следващата стъпка ще бъде да говоря с Викс със сигурност. Какви други неща имам? Имам някакъв разговор в общежитията, имам и така също библиотеката. Между другото, бих видял в библиотеката какво става. Това надали ще ми затвори вратата с Викс. Това значи чисто и просто с... I journey to the shopkeeper's domain again. Welcome, Pact Sworn. Hast thou come to claim more cards or ritual power? Yeah, something like that. Then browse mine wares freely, and in turn, this one shall partake in residuals on thine essence. Sounds great, champ. I wanted to tell you though, since you were so curious about cats last time I was here, you should know there's a little black cat in Glomrod's library. You know, if you wanted more subjects to observe. The shopkeeper stares back at me blankly. Thou's mistaken, little Pact Sworn. None such creature exists in Glomrod's archive. Sure it does. The cat's the damned librarian, even. Librarian? Ah, the Pact Sworn speaks of the killing beast. Indeed, this one is aware that the beast's presence... of the beast's presence in thy realm. Mine acquaintance with this creature originated in eons past. 'Tis always been a wonder. How does thee satiate the beast's hunger? This one recollects in times past, thine elders looked Pact Sworn of frail constitution into thine archive with the beast. Does tradition yet stand? I'll have to get back to you on that. And also consider having a very sensitive conversation with Iharam. Very sensitive one. Окей, сега, интересно ми е Blood Curse. Да разгледам всичките карти. Тия ги знам, шардовете, окей. Този ритуал е Opponent gains 9 inhibit. Следващата му магия е с минус 9 сила, това е много яко. Opponent loses 1 reserve. Ритуал с 1. Между другото, това не е зле. Може би. Това ми е интересно, не съм го виждал. Abandon, if this spell goes into your resting, it abandons you instead. Окей, gain 1 concentration, нали? Това е наказ. Това е, да, един път на ход, деца вика. Един път, печелиш едно concentration, едно energy per round, gain сакрили 6. О, това е много добро. Това е много добро. Abandon, draw 4 spells, lose 6 reserve. Вау! Lose 3 reserve. Flash Eater. Вау, добре. Тия кървави карти са някакви мега добри. Lose 6 reserve, gain 19 reserve. На complete. С 6. Много лесен ритуал, между другото. Lose 2 reserve. Вампиризъм. Whenever this spell deals damage to an opponent, it gains that much reserve. Whoa, buddy. Buddy. Между другото, всичките кървави магии изглеждат мега добри. Не знам в мен ли е проблема, че нещо ги бъркам, но... Toad Covenant, това може би трябваше да го взема. You can only have one copy of this spell in your memory. Draw all 1 energy cost spells from your resting. Всички магии, които... Окей, това е жестоко, между другото. Holy shit. Това са доста жестоки карти, някои от тях. Gain 7 Reserve. Opponent gains Inhibit 3. Може би е този ритуал, бих взел. The Healing Wave. Gain 2 Reserve. Opponent gains 4 Reserve, ако го ударя. Това е много яко между другото, защото мога да го ползвам за биене на малки гадинки. Както да е. Супер карти. Упс. Стига ми за сега. Backing Glomrod. След като съм направил така достатъчна поръчка на карти, мисля да не продължавам на тук, защото ми се вижда като основополагащ дуел и по-скоро ще отида да видя Викс. Какво ще ми каже? The hour grows late and my bones ever wearier. Halfway back to my dorm, I find myself hardly able to keep my own eyes open. I skip dinner for the sweet chance to slip into bed earlier than I'm usually able. Late that night, I toss and turn feverishly in my sheets, wayfaring the blurred borders of the land of dreams, and a vision of fire erupting from beneath my skin. I sit on the edge of my bed in a cold sweat. Though when I wipe my forehead, I find myself nearly steaming. This is the third, maybe fourth night in a row where I hardly slept. Kept awake by images of perpetual flame. And they are only getting worse. What the fuck is happening to me? I open my window to let in a bit of cool night air. There, a spotlight in silence, a voice graces the dark and the cold and the gloom. It is feminine, fierce, impassioned, longing, a song of wayward ghosts. Exhausted and wide awake all at once, I listen in a trance. I dress myself in serene but hurried fashion and take a midnight trip down to the ground floor of Glomrod. Iharam's fireflies bloom and flicker, and though I do not use them as a guide, preferring to follow the voice in the dark, I do welcome how they light my way. I follow the singing to Glomrod's main courtyard. In the center sits a stone fountain. A girl sits on its lip, chin tilted up toward the moon. Hair flowing gently in the chilled breeze, illuminated by the lambent gloom, she sings. So there she waits and ponders fondly, when their kin shall once return. She parts fell clouds with songs of longing, begs thine accord in dreams below. Yet when she finds those ghosts still cherished among balm warmed of flourished fires, the moon thus shines upon dear mother to lay her bare in her folks' wow. Whoa, sit down. Wow. I slap my hand over my mouth as soon as the word blurts from my lips. Vix flinches. She spouts me across the courtyard, standing awkwardly. She looks a bit like a deer caught in the headlights, though only for a breath, before her usual, even-keel composure returns. Pretty late for a stroll? You expected me to sleep when there's a veritable siren on Gloomroad shores? A siren? An infestation like that could be a problem. Little vermin that they are. Pray tell, what direction did you hear it singing? I set my hands on my lips. Approximately where you were sitting just now. I've heard of this ailment. You likely have an eldritch brain bug thrashing around somewhere in your head. It is causing you to hear all kinds of nonsense. If we are not careful, soon enough you talk to will sound like old show tunes. Believe it or not, that doesn't sound entirely unappealing. Gods, you are worse than I thought. She pushes a strand of her hair on her face. In the moonlight she looks akin to a porcelain doll. Eyes like deep vacant pools, framed by delicate cheekbones. You really came all this way just to find some singer? I shrug. I guess I could fib a bit and say that I couldn't sleep, which is kind of true. But when I heard that song through my window, I was a bit entranced. I've always been a sucker for some good vocals. Some of my favorite pieces to play included a vocal soloist or accompaniment of a choir. There is just something about the human voice, you know. Is that why you're always wandering around the center of arts? I've seen you walking those halls all night, at least a couple of times now. I flinch here. I didn't think anyone had noticed my midnight walks. Despite everything, I still find myself being drawn to it, like a moth to the moon. It? I tense a bit. Music, I guess. From whence comes the strange boy, with all his gloom in tow? A mystery to unbox perhaps, or too delicate to probe with such questions? You can probe me anytime. Oh? The night air descends upon us in a fierce gust. It raises little bumps on her skin, goosebumps. I'm going to ask you a question now. A real one, in fact. Yes, I know, the absolute horror. Get on with it then. The song. What were the lyrics about? I'm sure I don't know what you mean. It was a siren you heard after all, not a wretch such as me. Press her for the truth. I'm not gonna bite you now. I'm not gonna bite you, you know. You can, I don't know, tell me things. You're sure pushy tonight? Sleep deprivation got you worked up? I don't reply, instead waiting for an answer. She shrugs. I can't answer what I don't know. I guess I could tell you a rumor about that song, something I heard from a friend of a professor ago. Ah, just a rumor. Alright, let's hear it. Her posture shrinks. She sinks into her sweater as if taken by the cold. They say there was a young and beautiful sea nymph who lived deep in the ocean off the coast of somewhere important probably, and she lived in a small village above a quaint bakery. There are bakeries under the sea? Shh. The sea nymph grew up with only her mother to keep her company. Papa nymph, you see, had left a long time ago. Something about heading out for a pack of cigarettes. Anyway, as the convenience store Papa nymph headed to was apparently very far away, Mama and daughter nymph weren't doing too well. Most nights there was hardly anything for either of them to eat. Some nights there was nothing at all. And then one day the sea nymph was taken away by strange stoic nymphs in suits that claimed it was for our young nymph's own good. She was taken to a new home, one that was not in fact barren or over a bakery, and had food to spare. But the little sea nymph didn't care about any of that. All she wanted was her mother, the only one who'd been there for her always. And so the girl tried and tried to find Mama Nymph. She searched for years, escaping her new home as many times as was needed. But no matter how many times she looked, her mother was nowhere to be found. And those strange nymphs in suits, they always dragged her back. Until she happened upon a devil. Yes, a devil with the deepest, darkest crossroads in the sea. She struck a deal with the vile creature in exchange for finding her mother. And find her she did. But when she found her, after all these years, Mama Nymph was not struggling or lonely. Nor had she been searching or waiting or hoping for her little one's return. No, Mama Nymph was happy, flourishing. All the little sea nymph had done, in mother's words, was hold her mother back. Wasted years of her life crippled her mother's dreams. The little sea nymph's departure had never been a point of pain for her mother. It had been a godsend, a chance at a better life. And the little sea nymph could hardly blame her. The little sea nymph, she came to realize, had only ever been a burden to any and everyone whose roof she slept beneath. I shift uncomfortably. This is hardly a story. It's a confessional, and a loosely veiled one at that. And worse, is that really how she feels? So yeah, that's the rumor I heard. And that song? It's about something like that. I never said it was a good song. It takes me more than a moment to think through my words. And then of course I begin to panic that I've said little to nothing for far too long. Singing got your tongue? No, just thinking that I disagree with you. Disagree? Yeah, I don't know, Vix, maybe I've just got a bad taste, but I think I'm starting to fancy that tune quite a bit. We may need to get you to the infirmary. You are clearly wrong in the head. Probably. But how about in the morning? I walk over the stone fountain and sit just beside the spot I found her singing minutes ago. I pat the stone. She makes her way to me slowly, though I believe without reluctance. I wouldn't mind looking at the moon for just a little longer. Vix sits beside me. The night is cold and the stone touched with frost. I feel the soft heat of her cheek as she leans slightly into my shoulder to look up at Glomro's silver moon. Neither would I. Her words are faint, barely a murmur whispered in my ear. Neither would I. Добре. Мисля, че следващата сцена, която ще видим е тук в Lower West Dorms. Moving through the dormitories, I spot a curious sight. Quizzle stands outside the dorm room. His head is firmly pressed to a wooden door and his hands are held tight over both of his ears. In my first couple of weeks here at Glomrod, I've come to realize that finding Quizzle waiting in old poses is actually quite ordinary. Though typically he does so here his own domain, and we are far from either his room or my own. Hey there, Quizzo, you alright? His spine straightens and he reluctantly removes his hands from over his ears. Tarot. The professor told me there would be no leaving, so I tried to say goodbye where he is still close. Goodbye? I frown. To Trent? Quizzo nods absently. I see. Yeah, he's gone. Was this his room then? He slept there when he was tired. And sometimes he would break little wooden sticks apart to eat noodles early in the morning, when most souls lay to rest. He would bring them to me in the styrofoam bowls to make sure I ate. I flash him a smile. You are both late night snackers, huh? I used to do the same thing. My parents always scolded me, but I figure I've got another 10 years or so before it starts going to my good. Quizzo tilts his head a hair, studying my stomach like a puppy trying to ascertain the intricacies of human language. You doing okay otherwise, buddy? I try to hear him, but there's too much noise. And the noise hurts. What do you mean, noise? It's all around him, an oat pit, consuming. And the others, their scream, and not in the others their scream, until they no longer know how. An unabashed terror creeps up my spine. There has been a knot in my stomach for days now, formed of guilt and little embers of fire. And once again I feel it tighten just a little more. You mean that's the place where Trent is? All those screams? He seems reluctant to look at me in the eye. That's okay. I think he wouldn't want you to look too hard. Not if it's hurting you. Trent knows you'd want to say goodbye. That's what matters. For a moment, the briefest of moments, the strange boy seems perfectly serene. Souls in the storm. I put an arm around his shoulder. Have you eaten anything today, buddy? Why don't we take a quick trip to the cafeteria? I hear they have tomato soup today, and little grilled cheese sandwiches. Quizzo reluctantly nods, and on the way, his stomach grumbles loudly in fierce anticipation. Добре. Помогнахме му, добре. Сега. Дуел. That evening, at Tree's direction, I waited in silence, in the silence of the club room for my next Kamifuda lesson. Without another club member to accompany me, I found myself feeling restless. Found myself feeling restless, like a rat caged in a stone box. Mastering Kamifuda, or spell control rather, was objectively the most important thing. And I suppose what Trent had wanted. But a niggling feeling still itched in the back of my head. These last few days I had few opportunities to look into whatever happened to Trent in the very room. And worse, I hardly know where to start. I glanced at the clubroom's stone ceiling. The holes which let in fine beams of moonlight on the night of his death have already been patched, presumably with magic of some sort. But I can still feel them. I can still feel the bite of the cold and the moon and a body moldering in the dark. This room stinks of a rot. That of a wound still rotting. The clubroom door opens with a creak. It smacks hard against the adjoining wall. Who's ready for an ass kicking? Lun? You're my teacher today? Yes, and for the duration of this lesson, I demand you call me Sensei. Really? No. Well, maybe if you do exceptionally bad, we'll keep that on the table as a punishment. Anyway, we've got a bit to get through, so how about we get to it? We head over to the adjacent dueling chamber. Lun quickly pulls out a card from the top of his deck. Today, I'm going to introduce you to my specialty, Thaumaturgy. What now? Thaumaturgy. There are 9 disciplines in Eldritch Arts Tarot, and each bear fruit to a unique kind of magic. The most common are the forces of primal magic, Eldritch Arts, that deal with manipulating the raw forces of the elements. Primal magic is subdivided into the study of pyromancy, geomancy, hydromancy, and seronomancy, for example, each named for the element of its focus. The remaining schools are sacromancy, thanatropy, eldermancy, exomancy, and thaumaturgy. What disciplines have I been using? По-скоро? Well, I've only seen you duel once, against Evie, on your first day. At the time, most of your decks seemed to consist of exomancy. It is probably the most prolific form of Eldritch Arts in the Paxworm world. Exomancy was specifically developed by the Institute of Verity at the direction of the Pale Host. It is kind of considered, I don't know, the most human discipline, I guess you could say. It serves very practical offensive and defensive purposes and is generally considered one of the more straightforward schools to learn. But we're here to talk about my specialty. Thaumaturgy is the study of eldritch powers, which can be utilized for protection and augmentation of an individual, or in the same cases, augmentation of a place or thing. For example, many of the power warding spells you ever come across will be some kind of thaumaturgy. In extreme cases, masters of thaumaturgy have even been known to be capable of extending their own life beyond its natural end. Is this the part where you tell me you're actually immortal, Lun? No. That comes after dinner. But your head's in the right place. Many a Paxworm have devoted themselves to the study of thaumaturgy in search of immortality. Some have even gotten close, or so the professors tell me. But enough blabbering. In my dojo, young grasshopper, you learn about spells as I smack you with them. Let's go with practical spell theory. Yay me. Така, сега, нещо ново в тестето. Бих направил директно второ тесте, изцяло второ тесте, което ще базирам доста повече на тези карти. Буквално ще добавя всичко, което имам от това тесте. Без да имам никаква идея. Колко ритуала имам, дори всичко. Тук има 1-2 ритуала. Lose 6 Reserve, 3 ритуала. Окей. Със сигурност искам да направя... Със сигурност ми трябва Ritualizer. Gain Catalyze 10 е страхотно. Channel 2 Energy. Един ритуал, един инстант. 20 от 20 между другото. Нека пробваме с това тесте. Супер сглобено на произвола, но нека да го видим. Просто искам да видя новата школа. Имам много големи очаквания за нея. Watch and learn. Аз съм първи. Тотално не си помня картите. I draw 4. Gain shield. Добре. Legendary and Unbreakable Obliterate. Whenever this spell destroys another card, that spell abandons its user. Holy shit. Често казвам се чуя дали да поема демиджа на този етап. Това беше Unbreakable. Това беше тъпо. Това беше тъп ход от моя страна. Четири магии. You've clearly been studying with Ree. I won't fault you. She's by far the club's best. Just be careful with Sacromancy. I'm kinda not careful right now. Gain 2 catalyzation, gain 2 sacrilege. You know the Pale House developed Exomancy? Аз му оправих магията, бе, дейба. Simple, yes, but deadly, as it is elegant. Glimmer Ring. Нямам идея как тази магия е по-силна, отколкото е по принцип. Opponent ends its priority. Unbreakable. Pre-strike 9. Before fighting with an opposing sorcery, this spell deals 9 damage to that spell. Gain Divinity 1. Prevent the next time. Така. Gain Shield 6. 6 щита. Вейл. Яко се лекува нашия човек. Айде да възстановя малко животец. Айде още сакрилич. По 10 на ход губя. Но ще спечеля наведнъж доста. Ритуала всяко мине ще спечеля доста. How the hell am I supposed to do this? You're blocking nearly everything I throw at you. Oh, I don't know. Everything you've landed has hit plenty hard. Добре. Вампиризъм. Ако удари опонента, губи едно Divinity. Демек. Минус 2. Окей. Сега ще видим какво ще стане. So, is this how you learn to duel too? Me, huh? There may have been less deadly spells, and a lot more books involved. Окей, 23. Карта ми е унищожена. Сега въпросът е дали искам Ritualizer-а. Може би ще е по-добре да лекувам. Въпросът е какво мога да си добавя. Gain Catalyzation 3, Sacrilege 2. Catalyzation 3 не съм сигурен доколко е добра идея. Въпросът е Catalyze 10 ли ми е по-добре да взема? Или 2 пъти кръв? Според мен 2 пъти кръв. Това беше Loose Tour Reserve, не беше вампиризма. Както да е сета. 39 срещу 50 и нещо, окей. Малко я обърках магията, нищо. Шест шилд. Та карта ще ми унищожи тестето, е баси. Минус 10, 13 печеля от тази. Ако вкарам ритуала. Би трябвало да сме окей. Добре. Ritualizer 8. Вампиризъм. Шит. Малко е зле ситуацията заради... Имам много каталайз, въпросът е какво да го направя. Оная карта му беше много тежка сякаш. Двадесет 24. Lose 3 резерв не е много добра идея. Gain no Divinity. Lose 3 резерв. Окей, биг го! Много добре. Не е лоша школата му. Много бих. Loon's deck floats quickly back into his hands. I would call that your victory. No surprise considering your spells hit like a truck. I back the wall to catch my breath. My lungs are scraping for every bit of air. How come I'm so exhausted then? And you look like you've barely broken a sweat? Thaumaturgist buddy keeps me in tip-top shape, even in dire circumstances. Even so, you managed to beat me. I knew I saw a spark of talent in you on that first day, but you really have an eye for match control. I squeak out another breath. Match control? You are good at predicting and reacting to your opponent. It is a crucial skill in Kamifuda, especially for a novice fighting a new eldritch discipline for the first time. His eyes drift for a moment, lost in thought. But he literally shrugs it off a moment later. Guess you've got a talent? I take the moment to sit. I certainly don't feel talented. Anyway, bad news is we've gotta spend the next few hours going over thaumaturgic theory. Much as I don't want to, I'm pretty sure 3 would throw me out of a window if I skip the formulae and all that crap. Still, if you want to sample my dueling prowess again, just come find me when you have some spare time. Maybe I'll even pull out some of my tougher cards. As he said, we spend the next few hours going over the basic theories of thaumaturgic magic. It is horridly boring, and much like Loon, I yearn to just jump in and throw another fireball. Yet, all the same, we find ourselves smiling.